All right, guys, there was some sad news over the weekend as well. Matthew Perry, star of Friends, he passed away. He drowned in his hot tub at his home. It's very, very
He had a heart attack and then drowned. The saddest part is that, maybe he could have been revived had he not drowned after the fact. But he isn't married or wasn't married, lived alone, as I understand it.
Yeah, he had sent an assistant out to buy like a new iPhone. And when the assistant got back...
What a strange request. Well, I mean, he clearly didn't see it coming.
No, it's super sad. This is an interesting one for me, personally, because one of the things that's coming up is that he was in very, very poor health because of his past addiction issues, all of the things that led to that. Mm-hmm. And I just noticed, like, one of the things that these stories always tend to remind me is just how callous we as human beings tend to be. And then the comment section, like at least
because there's a chorus of vaccine skepticism.
I'm not even talking about that.
Rolls in.
Yeah, I wasn't even talking about that. I'm talking more people just basically saying like he's an addict. It's like, and a lot of people are like, yeah, he deserved. Like there were some comments that were saying stuff like that, like, oh, well,
really?
you get what's coming to you. Right, you get what's coming to you.
The only things I saw were,
sad.
It makes sense because, everything he's done has taken a toll on his body. It's not exactly surprising, but 54 is too young for anyone.
Yeah, and it put things into perspective a little bit for me for a couple of reasons. Well, one, for a guy like him, I do think it kind of reinforces the idea that happiness is not always a monetary issue. And I think that the number of celebrity deaths due to drug addiction and depression and suicide, those are all things that indicate that just because you have money does not mean that you are necessarily happy. And those are the most common responses to any time a celebrity is unhappy, right? They say, boo-hoo, woe is you, you got rich, you're rich, what do you have to complain about? And I've never liked that argument. That's not excusing bad behavior from celebrities when it comes up in a topic like that where they're arguing back and forth. It's not. But the idea that just the fact that they don't have to worry about where their next meal comes from means that they're inherently happy. I think it's kind of I think it's a little bit of an insult to just how complex we are as human beings. Mm-hmm. Like that the world is not that simple and it never will be that simple.
Yeah.
And it's easy to dunk on people like this because you're going to have a lot less pushback, especially in these circles, right? It's very hard for people to drum up sympathy for celebrities if they're not inclined to already be kind of a super fan.
Bootstrapping the Friends actor.
Yeah.
And he, I think in his memoir, said that he turned to drugs and alcohol because of the pressure of having to perform in front of a live studio audience on a nightly basis. I wouldn't wish... Which would be incredibly difficult for anyone to do.
Like, I can't imagine, like, it's one thing to have a lot of demons. It's another thing to have demons and have everyone tell you that your life is fine, right? People dismiss...
Because you have an infinity pool.
Yes.
In which you will drown.
And people dismiss drug addicts' deaths all the time. I get it. As somebody in recovery, I get it. Like, well, I, for instance, if I was to die tomorrow, I wouldn't begrudge anyone for wondering if I died under mysterious circumstances tomorrow, right? Died in my sleep. I wouldn't begrudge anyone for at least asking the question, is it possible that he relapsed and something bad happened? I get that. And that's what people were asking. Like a lot of the articles were talking about like, how did he get sober? What drugs were found in his house? And by the way, there were no illegal drugs found in his house, just prescription medications, but he had a Vicodin problem. They said at one point he was taking 55 Vicodin a day. So that's a prescription medication. So that on its whole doesn't really mean anything, but it sucks when you work hard to get sober. And I think they said he'd been to rehab 60 times.
Lot, yeah.
And
to be survived by your parents at 54, it's just especially tragic. Yeah. And then they have the paparazzi taking the photos of his parents walking up to the house.
That might have been the more
that was
creepy
awful.
Part to me.
And them zooming in on their facial expressions, they look stricken as they walk up to the house to the scene. It's all very ghoulish.
And I guess
because there's just no boundaries with the media at all. And if anything proves your point about money not equaling happiness, the celebrity memoirs do, especially his.
And for somebody like this, I also think that what it serves as, like, one of the creepy conclusions I've come to this year is, if you're looking to figure out who actually were the cultural influences in America, it's the reaction that you end up seeing to a celebrity's death. Now, Matthew Perry hasn't been in the public eye consistently for quite some time because Friends has been off the air for a long time. He's had health concerns, but the amount of people that were writing articles about it, that were covering this, is substantial because Friends had a substantial impact on American culture. I saw Adele did a tribute type thing when she was performing the other night, basically saying like she felt that it was brave of him to talk about his addiction so openly. I'm of two minds on that. Like, I don't know if like for me, I don't consider it bravery necessarily to talk about it, because I wouldn't also I don't think that it's cowardice to not speak about it. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think choosing to not talk about your addictions makes you a coward. Therefore, I don't know if it makes you brave to talk about them.
Well, now you're just celebrated for trauma dumping about literally anything these days.
Yeah. So for someone like Matthew Perry, who's got, and like you said earlier, that he had health problems for a long time. So it's like people have seen this coming. But the comments on I read the Fox.
I didn't see these negative comments.
I didn't. So there was just quite a few in the Fox article.
But if you're looking at the Fox readership, they're gonna have different opinions than the rest of the world.
It's that's like a gap, right? Like, the most celebrities or most people that actually really love celebrities are going to have nothing but positive things to say. And then if you go to like a Fox News or a Breitbart, it's going to be a bunch of the vax did this, which is insane to speculate. We can't know anyways, so there's no point in doing that. It just doesn't really make any sense. And I see those. It says, sorry, so this was one guy was saying, like, sorry your life is so difficult, fame and fortune, bummer. Like, really? Like, the lack of empathy for something like this, right? Like, it's just always kind of shocking to me when I see stuff like that. And also people like drag it in, says, never saw one episode. Tragically, the DNC was on scene to ensure proper mail-in voting registration.
What?
Dude, bruh. Like,
always got to get your points in.
They always have to get their points in.
Yeah.
And there is such a also, did you see the comedian who like made fun of his death, which I don't know. There was a comedian who like apparently it's the brother of the dude who co-produced or co-created the Chappelle Show, and basically was like laughing at his death. And I'm not offended by it, but I always do wonder if it's like, is this the time and the place? I don't know. Like, it's just weird. Like, I'm very, like, seeing stuff like this makes me feel very fortunate that I'm never going to have to worry about, like, a bunch of people trying to clout chase off of, like if something bad ever happens to me, one solace is that nobody's clout chasing over what happened to me.
Well, the worst thing is not dying before your time, it's dying and then getting torn apart on Twitter.
Was it
getting people
and the people love to do that too.
Looking for scraps off of your body.
People love to like take the death of a celebrity as a time to like be edgy and come out and prove that they're the one that can make the joke that's the funniest, or they can be the funniest person or the edgiest person at that time. But not just jokes, but also the people who come out just to dunk on celebrities after they die, which is also super weird and kind of gross.
Yeah.
I've never been a huge fan of that stuff. Like,
or like, reminder, actually he was problematic.
Yeah, exactly.
In this way.
That's different than jokes, I guess, because like a joke is very much a joke is very much a subjective thing where different people with darker sense of humor, and I do have a darker sense of humor, but that tends to be something where it's like, it's very internal for me. I understand that for that to exist, there has to be people who create it. But as somebody who wouldn't necessarily create it but doesn't mind consuming it, I'm not going to complain about somebody making risky jokes at a time like that. But I do wonder what draws people to like then start dragging them immediately. Because
did that happen when Heath Ledger died?
I don't know. It's so long ago. I wouldn't be able to tell you about that. But it happens with a lot of celebrities when they die, right? Somebody has to come out of the weeds and tell you what a bad person they were.
Well, social media wasn't a thing when
Heath
exactly.
Ledger died, so it's sad.
Grateful for that.
It's sad to see, and it really does kind of show you just how bad it can be for somebody, no matter how much money you have. If you have a problem, if you're struggling, all the money in the world isn't necessarily going to fix it. It can make it easier for you to get help, but that doesn't mean that your quality of life is going to improve.
Someone else said that this is a sort of wake-up call for millennials and 90s kids as to like the fact that they're not the young generation anymore.
Yeah, and they're not.
Because obviously Friends was such a big cultural
It was huge.
milestone for them.
It said that he spent $9 million trying to get sober.
Damn.
That's crazy.
Does he have kids?
I don't know. Because he was survived by his mom and his dad.
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
That's
All
it's
right.
very sad. But rest in peace. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.